On this episode of Echoes of the South, a near-death experience,
When I was very young, I got hit by a car and I died.
a little boy speaking with the dead,
And I was telling my friend about the man who killed himself in my bedroom.
astonishing apparition photographs, and a warning that may have saved a life.
And she very matter-of-factly stated, "Oh, my parents woke me up and told me that I needed to get up and go with them."
Some people spend their whole lives running from the unexplained. Lee Marshall walked straight toward it. Long before ghost tours, eerie photographs, and unexplained encounters in the historic streets of San Antonio, Texas, Lee says it began with a near-death experience. At just 3 years old, after being hit by a car, something changed. And not long after that, the impossible began finding him. By the age of 5, Lee was in communication with what he believed was a spirit of a man who had taken his own life. For many people, that kind of story becomes something buried, hidden, explained away. Not Lee. Years ago, Lee and I met while I was developing a paranormal television project, a show that embraced humor, camp, and friendship while still taking the paranormal seriously. Somewhere between the laughter, investigations, and long conversations about what may exist beyond this life, we stayed friends. And over the years, Lee continued experiencing things that defy explanation. Now living in San Antonio, a city layered with history, tragedy, folklore, and restless stories, Lee leads tours through some of its most haunted locations. And over the years, guests on those tours have captured some of the clearest apparition photographs I've ever seen. What makes the images even more compelling is that these aren't staged investigation photos taken in isolation. They're often captured spontaneously by tour guests in the middle of the experience, then immediately shared with Lee and the group while everyone is still standing there together, trying to make sense of what they're seeing. Some of the apparitions are shockingly clear. But perhaps the most extraordinary story isn't about a ghost caught on camera. It's about a warning, a moment from beyond that may have saved his mother-in-law's life, when a sudden fire tore through their home, destroying nearly everything inside. Tonight, we talk about survival, spirits, skepticism, humor, haunted cities, and what happens when the unexplained becomes part of your everyday life. I'm Carrie Genzel, and this is Echoes of the South. Lee, thank you so much for joining me on Echoes of the South. I'm so excited to have you here. There is so much to talk about. We go back. We go back a few years.
A couple.
Yes, just to get everyone up to speed. So I think it was 2011, I think. I was developing a show and I was looking for a team in the Los Angeles area, and you happened to be a part of a team that I was looking into for a project that ultimately got called SAS.
Oh, yes.
The super awesome Spirit Squad. SAS was really fun.
It was.
It was really, really fun.
Yes.
I actually have I found the logo, which was fun. It
Oh my gosh.
says, there we are.
There we are. Oh,
There
oh,
you are.
look. I
Look at
was
little
younger, wasn't I?
me. You look the same.
I was a little skinnier too, Lordy.
There we are. There we are doing our spirit fingers in the cemetery at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery.
That was an experience, wasn't it?
That we got a lot of
Bit.
evidence. That mausoleum, holy
Oh,
smokes.
remember the little girl who kept crying on the other end of the mausoleum? We would go to one side and then she'd be on the other side.
It was really,
Crazy.
really active. And we were so blessed because they gave us permission to really have the run of the place all night. And I remember being really spooked out by the people that do the yard work at night because they don't have lights. They just kind of wander around and do their work.
Right.
And you would stop. I did several times. And I remember one time walking up to someone, I was like, "Are you real?" And he laughed. I said, "Because I've seen some shadows and things." And so,
Right.
and he laughed. He goes, "Sometimes we ask ourselves that
Oh,
when we see other people because there's
Yeah.
a lot that happens there at night."
yes. Oh, yeah. I think the creepiest part of that cemetery for me was the statues.
Yeah.
Where you looked and there were the white marble statues everywhere and the moon glow off the statues. Like everywhere you looked, it was weird. It was spooky.
That's what's so interesting because you're right in the middle of Hollywood and you're right next to Paramount Studios. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of light that's just naturally in that cemetery, which is probably why the workers can still work without having, their own lights. But
Yes.
it's wild to hear the city noise and the bustle and busyness of Hollywood. And then you're in this cemetery that outside of whatever shadows might be rolling through or staff is just quiet.
Yeah.
Silence.
Yeah.
Stillness.
It was encased by that large fence. And yeah, it was like a whole different little world.
It was, we got a lot of evidence in there. I remember there was a lot of EVPs. And when we were in the mausoleum, you all were shooting in another part of the mausoleum. I was hanging back because I wasn't on camera and I was trying to make notes to what was happening.
Mhm.
And something kept messing with me in the dark, right? And I was like, "Get out of here." I was like, "Go, they're over there." Like I was getting mad. Like, stop messing with me. It was like whispering in my ear. It was like tapping, on my shoulder. And I'm like, "Dude, I'm trying to work over here."
Yes. Yes.
It's so funny, and we talked a little bit about this before we got into this interview about how there's certain spirits that will be very playful or like mess with you, and definitely in the mausoleum that happened to me for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
this-
let's start back at the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Way back. That's our beginning. But let's start back. This is your life, Lee. This is your paranormal life. I feel like we had this conversation a long time ago, but just to refresh my memory and for other people to learn more about you,
Right.
is paranormal, the paranormal world and those experiences something that you always remember having, or was there a certain time in your life that you really were in tune with, that world?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so most of my life, yes, I remember having these experiences. When I was very young, I got hit by a car and I died. And it seems to me that it was after that happened. Honestly, I was 3 years old when that happened, so I don't recall much before 3. But it wasn't until about the age of 5 that I was explaining to a friend who was over for like a little play date. My mother was making us sandwiches, and I was telling my friend about the man who killed himself in my bedroom. And I remember my mom getting very upset with me and demanding to know who told me that, because she thought maybe my sister, my older sister, or my father had. And I remember looking at her and very innocently, I'm sure, it just said, the man with a hole in his head that's in my bedroom.
Yeah.
And she didn't say anything to me about that. And it wasn't until quite a few years later that I learned that a man actually had shot himself in the head and killed himself in my bedroom, which that was just sort of a confirmation for me. I already knew it happened because I'd been talking to him. He even showed
Right.
me the hole that was in the door that remained in my bedroom door.
Wow. And it's interesting, it's interesting that you said it was around 5 because I remember it being I was probably about 5 or 6 when I started seeing somebody in my room. And my parents just kind of labeled it, I think, as like an imaginary friend, right? Like, oh, you have an imaginary friend, right? And some people did at that age, but I don't think it was
Sure.
that imaginary.
You're like, oh, is that what you're going to call it? Okay.
Yeah, okay. Because I
All right.
do remember having conversations, like real conversations. And I know I'm a storyteller, and I have a great imagination, but
Sure.
when I think back, I don't think I was making that up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that's a pretty substantial
That was the
first
beginning.
encounter.
Yeah, that was when I realized, wait a minute. And I think the second thing that happened to me was not long after that. There was this little weird creature that I used to see in the house, mainly in the garage. And the only way I've been able to describe it, the closest that I can describe it looking like, is the little dragon in the movie Mulan.
Okay.
That's what it looked like to me. It would jump from rafter to rafter, and it used to terrify me. And I remember one afternoon, my parents were standing in the garage talking to some other friends, I guess, and I was standing at my parents' side. And I remember looking up and seeing this little creature jumping around, and he was like leering down at us. But then I noticed none of the adults were reacting to it. So I just thought, oh, okay, I guess it's nothing to worry about.
Right.
That's the last time I ever remember seeing that until.
Interesting. But you felt like it was not like friendly or playful.
It wasn't friendly. No, it wasn't friendly. And it wasn't until years later that I talked to another family member that had lived with us off and on throughout his life, who had gotten really sick and was in the garage one afternoon and saw it. But when he shared the story, I totally forgot about it. And I was like, oh my God, I used to see that. Yeah. But
it's
then,
interesting how something like that you would think you would never forget. And then you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I totally remember that. And I remember the last time that I saw it was standing with my parents. And I guess I just assumed it was because it didn't bother me anymore. I was like, oh, must not be anything to worry about. So I just didn't pay attention to it anymore.
Right.
But that house was weird. There was weird stuff going on in the house before my parents bought it. After my parents sold it, someone killed themselves, hung themselves in the garage. So yeah.
I wonder if that thing influenced them.
Maybe. Now, I did years later chat with a lady whose husband and her ex-husband and father-in-law live in that house. And she says they've never experienced anything paranormal.
It's so interesting when people have these very distinct experiences in a property or location, and then other people will live there and say nothing happened.
Yeah.
Nothing happened while we were here, or nothing ever happens here. So it's you go, are they just not noticing it, or did it move on, or is it just not revealing itself to them? I don't know. It's always very fascinating to me. As the storyteller, I want to know the story, right?
No, I wish I knew the answer to that because I don't. I don't know why we see it and some other people don't.
I know. Or why people can live in it. 2 different families can live in a location. One has experiences and then the other doesn't.
At all. Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
Right. I know definitely from investigating that sometimes they just stay away. Like they'll stay in other parts of the house, right? Sometimes.
Right.
So I don't know if they know that those people aren't connected enough to notice them or communicate with them, and so they just stay away. I do kind of feel like when they know that someone can see them or hear them or connect with them, that they kind of, I always say it's like a Wi-Fi signal. It's like ding ding ding, like they kind of, like there's a light or something. Boom! This person can see me.
Yes.
When we investigate here in Macon, Georgia, because it's not overly investigated, we kind of take them by surprise sometimes, where they're kind of like,
yes,
me?
You see me?
Right. Who? What are you doing?
Yeah. Yes.
Right. It's very interesting. And so we often, for the early stages of the investigation, have to earn their trust and explain to them why we're there, and we're not there to get rid of them, and we're not there to harm them, and that we just want to communicate. But there's a little bit of that, like you feel like someone at home in their like underwear, and they're like,
exactly. Yeah.
what are you doing here?
Right. Oh, yes. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. All right. So early on, you started off with a bang.
Mhm. Yep.
That's quite an intense way to get introduced to the other side.
Yeah.
And then throughout your life, is it something that you tried to explore, or did you just kind of put that aside and continue on with your life?
I've always been interested in it. But I feel like there was a time in my earlier life that things sort of kind of calmed down a little bit. And I don't know if it was because I was just too focused on doing other stuff that I wasn't paying attention, but I've always had the interest. Probably it was my late teens when I started to really notice stuff again. And I don't know if it was just, maybe it was hormonal. I don't know.
Right. Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, they say that plays into it sometimes. So a
Yeah.
certain activity, right?
Yeah. And I know for a while I had dabbled, as most teenagers will, dabbled into the more of the occult kind of
Right.
stuff, and I learned very quickly, don't do that.
Right.
Just don't do that. Like it's
Well,
okay to research it and learn about it, but you really got to know what you're doing when you're dabbling. And
yes,
as
you
a
do.
teenager, I did not.
I've talked to people that have had to undo what people have dabbled in because they've
Yes.
opened up a doorway that
Yeah.
they did not close.
And it can be very difficult dealing with that kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
So,
And, that's something that I've always been very respectful of. I was talking to our investigative team recently about like Ouija boards and things
oh
like
yeah,
that, and how like people think they're just a game and they can open things up and then they don't close them. And then,
right.
surprise.
Yes. I get asked that a lot about Ouija boards, especially Ouija boards. And I always try to explain to them it's kind of like you want to see a white moth. So you open up your window and put a candle in your window to attract a white moth. You may attract a white moth, but you're going to attract every other moth and every other insect that is attracted to light to that candle too. So got to be
That's
careful
it.
what you're doing.
That's it. And also, like, this is something I just learned recently, that you may also attract things that are not even in the realm of like a good spirit or
Right.
someone you're trying to communicate, and you
Mhm.
might get something darker, but you also apparently can communicate with things that may not even be of this world. Like that, what I mean is like extraterrestrial, which
Mhm.
I had never heard before.
Yeah. Interdimensional beings,
It,
definitely.
sure, yeah. Which I think is, when you're a girl at a sleepover playing with a Ouija board, that's not even in the realm of what you're imagining is going to
Right.
happen.
That could possibly happen. Yes. No, but
Right.
yeah.
Right. Right.
I don't recommend playing with Ouija boards at all.
I I
Not my
I've
thing.
always been very respectfully staying away from them. Especially, people will buy them at flea markets and antique shops,
Yeah.
and some of them are really beautiful, but you don't know what they've been used for. So unless you really know how to handle them, it's
Yeah.
probably a good idea
Good
just
idea
to
not to.
not handle them.
Yep. I agree. I agree.
I mean,
A lot
that goes for sometimes in locations too, with these older locations with just so many layers of history, you don't know what has all been done in those homes.
oh
And
yeah.
people are like, I don't know why there's activity. And it may not be that particular family, but
Right.
someone before them may have been doing something in the basement.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. And energy, there is residual in energy when it comes to that kind of stuff too.
Right.
Especially stuff that creates really high levels of intense energy, very happy moments, very sad moments, very scary moments. That stuff can permeate the surroundings, and who knows how or why that energy gets re-released into the atmosphere, and we start to experience what may have happened 100 years ago in the same.
Right. And there's also been certain times, in history where people have gotten really into seances and trying to conjure things and all of that stuff. And so you think, when they don't really know what they're doing either, how much of that was really closed off the way it should have been after they were finished.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or not. Yes.
Yeah. I just assume not play with that kind of stuff. If the spirit needs to deliver me a message or wants me to deliver a message, by all means, I'm happy to do it. But I'm not going to go seeking it, and I'm not going to conjure up anything.
Right. Oh, I know. People, I think it's fun and it's like a party trick or something, but
Yeah.
there's real results that can happen when you don't know what you're doing, depending on what you end up bringing over or communicating with.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
they can be tricky, right? They can present themselves in
Yes.
ways that feel friendly or
Oh, yeah.
familiar, and that's
Yeah.
not exactly what you're communicating with.
When they tell you they're a lost little girl looking for their mom.
Right? Can I sit on your lap? No, you cannot. Can I hold your hand? No.
No. Can I live with you? Yeah, no.
We sometimes you would think I would have learned my lesson after I had a spirit follow me home from a decommissioned insane asylum. But sometimes I still forget to tell them that they have to stay where they are.
Oh, yes.
Sometimes it still escapes me. And we were here in Macon, Georgia at a location that we were going to be doing an investigation at. And the next morning I got up and I noticed a little boy standing at the end of my hall and just staring at me. And I said, "No, you've got to go back home.
Yeah.
You cannot be here. You're
Yeah.
not welcome in my home." I was like, "I don't even know if that is a little boy. It is
Right.
appearing as a little boy, but you
Right.
cannot stay.
Yeah. This is not your home.
This is not your home. No." Oh my, it's so interesting. And I think that's one thing that I always try to remind people too is that, we the living have a lot of power. And when it comes to your home, you can tell something to leave.
Yes.
And my experience is for the most part, it will.
Mhm.
They'll go or they'll follow the rules, right? And sometimes you get those that don't. We've had those too, and we've had
Oh,
to
yeah,
bring
sure.
in the professionals,
Mhm.
right?
You always get the ones that'll back off into a corner and just kind of stay there.
Yeah, they're like, "Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
I'll
I'm
go.
leaving. You're
I'm
right.
going now."
Hear my footsteps. Right. Oh,
But for the most part, I think that they will go. They'll respect that and stay out of your way.
yeah. Yeah, I
At
agree.
least I'd like to think so.
I agree. Like in most of my experiences that, yeah. Yeah, I've run into very few experiences where the spirit was more angry and just didn't want to leave,
Right.
which
Well, I think too, it's about acknowledging them and respecting them. And I know that the house I was living in Los Angeles, which in Laurel Canyon, there was a woman that I saw when I first moved in, and she scared the heck out of me because I thought someone broke into the house.
for
Like
sure,
I
right?
saw a full body woman standing
Solid.
in
Yep.
my bedroom
Yeah.
in the dark, because the lights weren't on,
Right.
but there was light coming in from the window, and I was like, and then I realized because her clothing was not of the time.
Right.
And I
Yes.
was like, "Oh, okay. You're from some other timeline." I did say to her, "I don't mind that you're here. I don't necessarily want to walk into a dark room and see you standing there because that's shocking to me, but I don't mind that you're here and you can let me know that you're here in other ways." And she
Right.
never appeared again. She would do things to let me know she was there. She would tap or she sometimes would mess with a television or knock or something. She would do that. But then,
Right.
as you know, because we did investigate that house for
Yes.
for SAS,
Yeah.
there was a lot more going on in that house than just
Oh,
that woman.
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember. I'm just remembering now more of that shoot. Didn't something say your name out
Yes.
loud? Yeah, I
Yes.
heard it was like Lee.
And we were both standing there and we both turned around to see who it was. And
There was nobody there.
that was fun.
And I remember other people in the room heard it. Unfortunately, we weren't rolling, but
Right.
other people in the room heard it because they were like, "Who is that?"
Yes.
I was like, "I don't know."
And you know what's so funny? Because before I see them, I always hear them. I actually hear them more often than I see them.
Okay.
And sometimes they'll come through because there's like a little message they want me to deliver, and which is always weird,
Yeah.
especially when it happens and you're kind of figuring out, okay, this is for this person standing next to me and I don't know this person and how are they going to react to this?
Right.
But I did
Right.
learn over the years, just say it. because more times than not, they're very grateful, and it was more like a closure situation that they were really looking for.
Really? That's
Yeah, I've had
interesting.
something that happened on my tour a while back that was really, really interesting.
Yeah, let's get into that. So yes, you as I've mentioned, so we met in Los Angeles, and you were living in Los Angeles for many years,
Yes,
and you were doing investigating there with a team, and then you have moved to San Antonio,
yes,
to Texas in the last few years.
yes, yes.
Yes,
Good old San Antonio.
talk about some history. I mean, Los
Yes.
Angeles has its own haunted history. It's
Oh, for
very
sure.
haunted. I don't
Oh,
think people really think of it as a haunted city, but I think it's one of the most haunted cities. There's
yeah.
just so much going on there.
Well, with LA, you have to think about all the people who have migrated to LA because they want to be a star,
I know.
and all those crushed dreams,
I
and all those
know.
people who weren't able to make it. And,
Yeah.
there's a
And
lot of
also those people that did have probably their biggest moment, whether on stage or on screen or as a musician or whatever, that still hold on to, that was my biggest moment. That's when I thought I made it, or when I did make it, or it was a big milestone in my life, and they're reliving that,
yes,
over and over. But yeah, I hear what you're saying a lot about sort of the crushed dreams. And then you think too, like California, of just like the gold rush and all of the people that migrated there from the East.
yes,
And
yes.
gosh, and you can just keep going back in time. Like there's a lot of history on that land.
Uh,
But Texas, tell me, tell me about San Antonio. I have never
it's,
been. I
uh,
want to get there.
you
I
need to
know.
come.
I
Yeah,
know. I
visit.
know.
Um, it's hot.
Well,
I mean,
I'm in Middle Georgia, so I know. Yeah, yeah,
the hot. Yes.
yeah.
Um, Te- San Antonio is very interesting. I grew up in San Antonio. When I moved back, it was kind of like coming home. It had changed a lot. It's gotten much bigger.
Yeah.
Um, but San Antonio is very interesting. And of course, we all know some of the history of San Antonio. We have the Alamo, and the
Right.
Battle of the Alamo that occurred, but not just that Battle of Behar. There's so many battles that have happened right there in what is now downtown area. So downtown's a hotbed of all sorts of paranormal activity, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
Um, so I do some tours, through downtown. Um, I had a very interesting situation happen a while back where on my tour, I kept getting in my ear the name Sylvia being shouted.
Okay.
And when I first heard it, I thought someone was actually yelling to the group, like someone on my group was Sylvia and somebody knew her. So I turned around, I'm looking, but no one's reacted to it. I'm like, oh, okay. And for about a week, I kept hearing this name shouted, pretty much at the same area too. And I'm thinking, what is going on? And then one night on the tour, a young lady came over and asked me who Sylvia was. And I was like, why do you ask that? She was like, because when we were walking right through here, someone shouted the name Sylvia. And I was like, you heard that too? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, I don't know who she is, but somebody wants to talk to her. Um, so a few days later, I was on the tour. And as I'm walking with a group, there are three ladies behind me. They all booked together. They were like sisters, I think, if I recall correctly. And I heard the name Sylvia shouted again. And this time it was very, very loud.
Okay.
And I turned around and I stopped the group and I said, okay. And I always introduce myself at the beginning of the tour and explain to them that sometimes things will come through. If it comes through, any type of message, I will share it. If you don't want to know, just put your hand up so I'll stop.
Right.
So I turned around, stopped the group, and I said, okay, something's been coming through for quite a while, but it's really, really loud tonight. Does the name Sylvia ring a bell to anybody? And no one said anything, but the ladies that were behind me all kind of got that look in their eye. And I was like, uh-huh. And at that point, I started getting flashes, these little mental images. And this is usually like I'll hear first, and if there's more of a continuation of contact, I'll start getting images flashed in my head. And the images I was getting was first a red rose. Then it was a red rose with a white background. Then it was a red rose, white background. It was on a teapot. And I was like, oh. So I said, a red rose teapot. And their eyes got even bigger. And then I see just a little gold ring, just a little gold ring.
Okay.
And I was like, okay. And the next thing I see is a little gold ring, like a baby's ring. And all three of the ladies reached in, pulled out their necklaces, and they all had a little red gold ring. And one of the girls said it was their aunt,
Oh my.
Sylvia, that had passed away 3 weeks before. And she was supposed to go on the tour with them.
No.
And I was like, oh, that
Well,
makes
she is on the tour.
So she knew you're going to be on the tour. She was trying to get me to let you know. And basically what it all boiled down to was Aunt Sylvia just wanted them to know that she was good. She was good. She was okay.
Oh my gosh.
It was a
Lee,
really
that's
cool experience.
crazy.
Yeah.
Now, that's really interesting because I've heard from different people at times that when somebody crosses over, that there's kind of a period where you probably won't hear from them, right? That there's kind of this period of time when, if it's very recent, that like people will, and I've had this too, when my grandmother passed, I was asleep and I saw what I thought somebody turned the light on in my room. And I woke up because I thought, who the hell just walked in my room and turned the light on? And then I opened my eyes and the lights were off.
Right.
But I saw this flash of light, right? And so I think people have those experiences as somebody's leaving, right? But then I've heard that there's sort of this period where this rest period, right? And so it's interesting to me that Sylvia, it had only been about 3 weeks, but there she was. She was like not going to miss that tour.
Yeah. And she wanted them to know that she was good.
And what's trippy is like she was letting you know for a while beforehand.
Yeah.
Maybe her dates were off. Her calendar was off on the other side. She's like,
or she knows how hard I am at kind of interpreting stuff. So she was like, let me start working on them now.
She's like, I'm just going to keep telling him my name and eventually he's going to catch on.
Yeah. It was very interesting. So that kind of stuff happens more often than I actually see like spirits moving around.
Now I was going to jump to this. So this is you doing your tour. I love you, of course. Look at you here. So fabulous. But you on top of your tours, this is why you're such an incredible storyteller. Look at this is incredible to me. Like you are such a performer and we'll go back to this, but you're such an incredible performer, vocalist, actor, storyteller. So you're so great to, do the tours and bring these stories to life. I think like you're just the perfect person and you love them so much, the stories and just with people and stuff like that. But I love that you all get into character and bring people on an adventure for the night.
Plus, I get to wear a costume. That always makes me happy. Like period costumes, I love period costumes.
Yeah.
Obviously, the one with the big black wig is not on my tour.
That was not. That was a performance. But theater. But I think, I wonder, and this is something that we explored with that project SAS, right? Because we would have you guys dress up in costumes to communicate like in a way that coordinated to that person's story.
Yeah.
And we got a lot of activity and I'd like to think that it worked, right?
Yes.
Like, and people do that when they investigate sometimes, or they have trigger objects or so forth. But because you're out there consistently and you are dressed in a certain period, do you think that the spirits that may be roaming around that may kind of recognize that type and style of dress feel more comfortable coming to you?
I think so. I think sometimes it's a situation where they're like, oh, I recognize that. Like I can identify with what that person's wearing. And they may feel that they can come to me, that I'll recognize them.
Right.
A lot of times I don't see them in full form like that I have, but I think it definitely can create a situation where they feel a little bit more connected to you because you look like what they identify as
what they're used to
would be wearing. Right.
Right. Yeah. I think so. And I think that they do know who they can communicate with. I think that there's a little, whatever it may be, a little sparkle that happens where they're like,
situation. Yeah.
Yeah. Where they're like, I know that person. I know that person's going to see me. I know that person's going to get it. I always say that because I know working with Morgan Lynn on Echoes of the South, and then also Make and Beyond, she always says, like, for her, she knows where there's a lot of activity because it lights up, like it literally lights up. And she kind of talks about that in terms of herself as well, of like, I'm
Right.
going to light myself up so that they know. It is that kind of
Mhm.
moth to a flame, right?
Yeah.
Of like, I'm going to turn myself on so that the antenna's on and they know that they can come and
They can talk
talk.
to you. Yes.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think probably when you've got a group out there and you're wanting to give them a great night and a great show, essentially, you probably do have that energy of like, if anyone wants to come and talk, we're here, and
Yes.
so those who are game to communicate come forward.
Yeah. And that's pretty much how I'll say it out, especially when we're in the cemetery. Like, hey, we're here. If you want us to see you, please come closer. And because a lot of times when people are taking photos, they capture it.
I'm gonna pull up these
Oh yeah.
cemetery pictures
Ooh,
because 'cause
yeah.
we're talking about the cemetery. So, and for those of you that are just listening to the audio, you'll have to check us out on the, video version of Echoes of the South because he's got some incredible evidence photos, and I'll include them on the, website as well. But walk us through what we're seeing here. Now, you were explaining to me that these photos all come from people on your tour, and they show them to you and send them to you when you're still on the tour. So these
Yes.
have not been manipulated at all, like after the fact.
Yeah, correct. In fact, that's something I asked them to do while the tour is going on because Photoshop is so good
I know.
nowadays. And I'm pretty sure no one, while they're taking my tour, is on Photoshop trying to manipulate a picture. Typically, how it happens is uh, when we're at each location, I tell them the history, I tell them stories, I tell them some of the paranormal events that we have experienced in the past, and then I let them start to kind of roam a little bit around. They're always in my sight line. Um, but typically, what will happen is someone will take a photo. They'll come right over to me because they just looked at the photo they took and they're like, "What is that?" And they'll hold their phone up to me. And I'm like, "Oh, that's a good shot. Text it to me right now."
Yeah, that texted to me right now.
Send it to me right now. And that's the only photos I will ever share on my tour is photos that have been given to me while the tour is in progress. Because
Well, that's
Photoshop is
a
just
great way to weed that out. Because yeah, people sometimes get excited or they may enhance something because 'cause they're like, "Is
oh
it a shadow?" Or, and like, we can do all that stuff on our phones nowadays, like,
oh
it's so
yes, exactly.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what are
Yeah.
we seeing in this bigger photo here, this one? It looks I'm not sure what I'm seeing. I was like, "Is that a fairy? What is that?"
I know, like when I really look close at this photo, to me, the hairdo looks more like a Gibson hairstyle,
Yeah.
but it almost looks like it's a person doing a can-can dance.
Okay. I'm like,
I'm not
somebody's
sure.
like, it's like, "Woo," like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, or it was just caught in movement. But that was a very interesting photo because that photo was actually captured it was during the summer and of this last summer actually, and it was still daylight when that photo took place,
It's
which
so
was very
wild.
interesting. Yeah. Um, a lot of these photos, like when I'm in the cemetery, I will always feel the presence of spirits. I always do.
Uh-huh.
I always get almost like a collective feeling that they're all watching. Never a scary or spooky kind of way,
Yeah.
or same way by any means. But so I always know that they're around. But it's always fun when people walk up with their photo or their cameras in their hands or their phones and say, "Hey, can you explain to me what or who this is?" I'm like, "Yeah." And I always explain to them when you take a photo, you see something, if it's very solid, looks like a person, look around you
Right.
because it could be somebody on the tour.
Right. Or just someone at the cemetery
Yes.
walking through.
Yes.
Right, exactly. Because 'Cause I'm sure that when you are giving the tour, anyone that may be in the vicinity may be kind of rubbernecking or listening to kind of hear what you're
Yes.
saying or interested in what you're doing. So I'm sure that does happen, that there's some stragglers that kind of follow you
Yeah.
through to kinda hear what the stories are. But this
Yeah.
to me doesn't even look like, it almost looks like it's floating. Like,
That to me, yeah. That looks and the interesting thing about this cemetery is it's the oldest cemetery outside of the downtown district, which so it's the second oldest cemetery in San Antonio. It's right in the middle of a cemetery district now
Okay.
of 31 different cemeteries.
Wow.
So there's tons of cemetery around us at this point. But every once in a while, you will get somebody that is wandering through,
Right.
that lives in the
Wow.
area and happens to see a group of people walking through the cemetery. Like, what are they doing?
Exactly. Well, especially if you're in a particular dress, and
Yeah,
and I know that you've got a bit of a dramatic flair to you in
yeah,
your storytelling, which is
yeah.
fabulous.
It's even more fun when I'm wearing my cloak,
I love that
my
cloak.
top hat and cloak.
That's right.
And
Then
there's
they're looking at you and thinking, "What am I seeing? Is that a
right,
spirit?"
right. They're like, holy crap.
That's right. That's right. They're like, they're coming out of the graves tonight.
Uh-huh.
What is this middle picture that we're looking at? Because this is also really interesting.
So this is something. Now, I liked this photo a lot because there seems to be a face added to it. Like it's when I show this picture on my tour, a lot of people say it looks like Beetlejuice, which always makes me giggle because
It
it kind
kind
of
of does.
yeah, like a Beetlejuice. Um, what's interesting is he's very close to where we are. And I say he just because he's wearing trousers, or
Yeah.
seems to
Well,
be wearing.
yeah, I kind of got mail too. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, someone just happened to snap that photo and turn around and was like, well, what is that? And I was like, oh, that's a good one. But
That
the
is a good
next
one. And
better.
what's wild, Lee, is that
Mm,
you're all standing there and
yeah,
no one's seeing anything in person. It's
right.
just they're snapping pictures and
Yeah,
looking at it in real time and saying, "Holy smokes, what is this?"
right.
So that's what's really trippy, is that nobody in person is like going, "Oh, it's yeah, I see someone," or maybe that's the tree, or
Right.
everyone's looking at that and going, "There's nothing there."
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And every once in a while, like I will see, sometimes I'll see a shadowy figure form, and kind of the way I describe it to the people on my tour is when I see them start to form, it's kind of like what it looks like when a tornado starts to form. Before it hits
Mhm.
the ground, you don't see the funnel, but once it hits the ground, it pulls up the dirt, and then you see the funnel. But then
Yeah.
when it leaves the ground, all the dirt kind of dissipates and it kind of disappears again. That to me is exactly what these shadow figures at the cemetery look like when they appear and disappear. They
Oh,
kind of
interesting.
like whirling in, take form, and then whirl right back out. And that's when I do see them. Most of the time when someone sees something, it's usually what they'll describe as a shadow figure darting by us, and it's
Right.
usually peripheral vision. But on occasion, I've had three different occasions where I've had entire groups of 33 people standing together watching a shadow form walking across about 20 feet in front of us.
Wow.
And everyone's taking photos and videos, and I'll have to find that video because I do have a video of it.
Wow, that's really, where that happened to me a lot in terms of in my peripheral vision, and the darting and the running by us, was at the Queen Mary.
Oh,
Did you ever go to the Queen Mary in Long Beach?
yes, we used to stay there every year. We'd stay there for 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks.
Yes,
Wow.
it was it was the best because all we would do is eat, sleep, nap, walk around the Queen Mary shit, and do it again. Eat, sleep, and nap. It was the best.
It's been a long time since I've been there, and when I stayed there, I just went for a weekend with a friend. They were not talking about the activity at all then.
Oh,
Like, they
really?
didn't have ghost tours, they didn't have anything,
Yeah.
and the staff wouldn't even talk to you about it. We found, like, a few of the maintenance people, like, that work at night, that would talk to us
Nice.
about what they experienced. Now they fully embrace it, and it's been on
Yes.
every show and everything, but then, you could find kind of threads online of people that had had experiences, and that was what kind of got me interested, and then a friend of mine was interested in going, so I'm like, "Let's go." And
Oh,
I mean, we would, like, sleep during the days, essentially, right? Go have a great
yes.
dinner, and then we would just go explore all evening and, like, figure out
Oh,
all the nooks and crannies of how to get down to certain decks that you weren't really supposed to be at night,
yes.
and, but I noticed a lot of that activity of the rushing, which would make sense, right? You think of, like, it being used in wartime, like,
Yes.
the soldiers rushing and rushing,
Mhm.
and I did actually see a uniformed soldier, on one of the lower decks that was closed at the time. But it would be open during, like, regular hours, but not at 3 a.m.
Right.
And we walked in and I saw him like put his hand on the railing and kind of do this and look, and then he moved back. And it was, you know how sometimes you just say things and you don't know why? Like in the moment when I saw that, I just said, "Oh, they know we're here."
Uh-huh.
And my friend was like, "What do you mean? What does that mean?" I'm like, "I don't know. I don't know why I said that." But they know we're here.
I love the Queen Mary so much. I mean, if I always recommend when people ask me where they should go, especially obviously in Long Beach, go to the Queen Mary.
It's really
An
stunning.
experience. And I would do the same thing. I would sleep most of the day, and at 3 a.m. I'd be walking around. And I would always run into somebody else that was staying there, like, "Are you ghost hunting?" I'm like, "Yep." And they would, and I take them on a little mini tour.
I don't want to say how we got around, but you know,
Yes.
but we did find some ways to get in and out.
Yes.
And we did get caught by security one time, and we just played dumb.
We're so lost.
That's right. I was like, "Oh, I told you this wasn't the way to go." Every time he leads us down the wrong. This isn't the buffet. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Right. And you're below the water level all the way down the bottom.
That's where we were.
I knew this wasn't the buffet.
I was just looking for a whiskey sour, and now we're in the bottom of the ship. I don't know how this happened.
I love it.
So, and we did also have some activity in our room while we were out running amok. When we got back to our room, there was a depression in our bed, and it looked like somebody had been sitting there at the end of the bed. So I was like, "Oh, we were out looking for them, and they were just waiting for us in the room."
They're like, "We're here."
Like, where are they?
I think it was the first time we stayed there. The stateroom they put us in was my favorite too, because when you walked in, it was a long hallway inside your stateroom, and then it opened up to your stateroom, and the bathroom was at the other end of the hallway. So when you were in bed, though, if you looked to your right, you looked all the way down the hallway to the bathroom. And I would see a woman every night coming out of the bathroom wearing a beautiful evening gown. I would say probably maybe late 40s, early 50s, probably. About like a tea length almost, though. Like, so it was sparkly. I remember it was like a pinkish kind of color. It was really pretty. She didn't notice I was there, so I don't know if she was residual or.
Maybe that was a suite that they stayed in often, and
it was a pretty suite too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's so much history there. You know, now it's been investigated so much, but I remember going there and it was like trying to get information out of people was so tough. But I remember there was a guy that was a night guy who did like maintenance and things. And, you know, they have those beautiful sort of Art Deco elevator doors, right?
Oh, yes.
And in the middle of the ship. And he said, it's not uncommon for me, because that's where we met him. We bumped into him. He said, it's not uncommon that I stand at this elevator and somebody will walk up behind me and I'll turn around to greet them and there's no one there. And I was like, yes.
I love it.
I said, well, we're actually here.
We're really here.
That's why he said, that's why I turned around, because I wasn't sure if you were a real person or not.
Really something about that ship that I always felt, that was like our staycay. Like when we wanted to get away from the daily grind, we would go to the Queen Mary. And, you know, I think at the least a week, usually 2 weeks. And by the time you're done, you're like, I am refreshed. I did nothing but eat and sleep and watch TV and walk around a ship. Loved it. Oh, I missed that.
And you really do feel like you step back in time to another age, you know, of travel being very glamorous, and it does sort of feel like time slows down a little bit once you board the ship. Yeah.
Yes, I love it.
It's really special.
The only ship I'll ever sleep on, because I don't want to be out in the ocean on a ship.
Right.
So since that one's safely docked.
That's right.
Never move. Although, I don't know if you've ever noticed, you can actually feel it slightly tilt.
Yes.
I'm like, oh, this is not fun.
Yes, you do feel it a little bit. Now, you know, one thing I do want to ask you, we did go off course here because we were in the cemetery in San Antonio. Now we're in Long Beach. But
it was fun.
One thing I do want to ask you about, and I don't know if of the times that you were there, did you ever go down to the propeller room? You know, it's that area. It's like it's
Oh,
part of the tour,
yes.
and you can see one of the propellers. So they built like
In
a
the water.
box. Yes, and there's like a
Yes.
little fake scuba dude down there, so
Yes.
you can see how big it is.
Yes.
Okay, so one of the nights that we were down there after hours, we had not taken the tour. So I didn't know it was there. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know
Oh
anything.
gosh. Yeah.
My friend and I had kind of split up, and I walked in there by myself. And the minute that I walked in there, I went, and I like got stuck to the wall.
Yeah.
And I like stood there and I couldn't stop staring at the propeller. And my
Uh-huh.
friend comes in and he's like, "What the hell is going on? Like, you are white as a sheet." Like, I said, I don't know, but I don't like this room.
Right.
And it wasn't until the next day we made the point of taking the tour, because I'm like, what the heck is with this room? That I
Right.
realized why I didn't like that room. Because going back to when they did strip it and they used it in war, right? And it was the
Right.
gray ghost.
Right.
There was that incident where that boat got in front of them and they had to
Yes.
drive over it, and all those men got sucked underneath
Mhm.
and chewed up in the propeller. And that
Oh,
just made my
yeah.
heart sink. But I wondered if you'd ever been in there and if you had a weird feeling, because I've heard of other people going in there and getting a weird feeling.
You know, that's so funny that you say that, because I went in there on the Titanic tour, because they
Oh,
used that as a part of the Titanic tour when the Titanic was touring. It's still touring, but they had it there, and I was like, perfect place to go see a Titanic exhibit.
right.
And I had never been to that area, and I remember looking at the propeller and realizing I'm in a room that's been built outside of the ship, and you can see. I'm like, oh no, 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 I don't like this at all. And I don't know if I have a fear of ships and being in the ocean anyway, so I
Okay.
don't know if that's what it was, but I remember specifically not liking that room.
Yeah, because you are below the waterline,
Yeah, I don't like
technically. Yeah, yeah.
that. I mean, I can swim and all, but
It's
I
a
don't like
creepy
that.
room. If there's anyone else out there that's had a weird experience in that room, I did see somebody recently on social media that was posting about it because they had had a weird experience in there. The thing that was also strange about that room, so it's completely closed off. It's not exposed to the outdoors at all,
Right.
right? There was over the propeller, there was like this little like dimple in the water that kept happening like a drip, but there was no drip, and
Okay.
there's no dripping in that room. It was the weirdest thing. Like right over the propeller, I'd see like, almost like a drop, like this little
Right.
dimple in the water.
Right.
It was odd. This is what happens when you sneak down at 3 o'clock in the morning.
See, you're braver than I am. I mean, I snuck down. I mean, actually, I technically did not sneak down to the pool, the first class pool, but
Right.
one of the workers let me in.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he was like, if you go through this way, and he unlocked the door, and I'm like, are you
Oh,
serious? He was like, just be careful and don't stay too long. I was like, okay.
yeah.
And I was by myself.
Oh,
So
wow.
that was fun. But I remember walking around, looking at the pool. I did not go down to the pool level. I wanted to, but I think I got a little spooked, if I recall correctly. Um,
Well, there's a lot of lore around that pool. I don't even know if you can go in there now, but
the last time I stayed there, they had it closed off.
yeah,
It's no longer accessible. I think you
yeah,
could see it through one of the doors if
yeah.
you
You can look in. I
look through
think.
yeah. Oh, I miss the Queen Mary so much.
I know, that's a good road trip.
That's definitely a good road trip.
Our Echoes of the South is produced by Arkwell Productions, and our website was built by our sister company, Riviweb Digital. Every week, we share stories rooted in history, mystery, and people who experience them. Riviweb helped us create the digital home where those stories can live beyond the podcast. From custom websites and SEO to digital marketing and software solutions, Riviweb helps businesses tell their stories online and connect with people looking for them. To learn more, go to riviweb.com. And now let's get back to the story. All right, let's dive into this last photo here and what we're seeing.
So this one's a very interesting photo. I actually have another photo that I carried for quite a while, but I never showed it on the tour. But it looks very similar to this. The reason I showed this is because it's a lot clearer, and there's a story behind what we feel is a little girl that will show up at the cemetery while we're there on tour. She doesn't do it often, but periodically
Okay.
will make her presence kind of known. and she actually will start giggling. It's like she's kind of playing around with us. Specifically, the mamas in the group will start
Oh, wow.
feeling their clothing being tugged or getting tapped. Or someone is trying to hold their hand, and they'll turn around to see who's just grabbed their hand and there's no one there. But I love this photo because this was another a moment where a guy took a photo, and literally, this is right after I told him about the little girl. Because I preface it like, keep your ears open, guys, because sometimes we'll hear a little girl giggling, and take photos. He turned around and was like, "Who is that?" And I was like, "Yep." And y'all, this is a little girl. We don't have little girls on our nighttime tours.
Right.
It's an adult tour. Um, but granted, when I looked at it first, I had to make sure no one on our uh, tour matched that description. But yeah,
Well, what I love about this photo, it's so funny because I was looking at it and I'm like, God, I don't see her. And then you just see her. Like, I'm like,
yes,
oh. But what I love about it is, to me, it almost looks like the one arm. It's like a kid who's like, come on, come on, come on. Like
yes,
that, like
like let's
it's,
play.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And the long hair and
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, on the creepier note, it does kind of look like Samara from The Ring.
A little bit, a little
But
bit.
I like to think. I mean, she's never done anything frightening. It's always been
No.
very loving, and she's very enamored with the nurturing kind of individuals on the tour,
Yeah.
specifically women. But every once in a while, a man will experience her, and
Yeah.
I'm like,
She
oh
looks like she's like, "Come, let me show you, let me show
yeah,
you." Now, what's also interesting is, like, I'm seeing kind of a sort of blur, like, there's something kind of above too, like,
right,
there's I don't know what that is, like, it's almost like something else is trying to manifest, or if it's just her energy because
yeah,
she's in movement.
yeah. I think I don't know. Yeah,
Oh, that's fascinating. That's a great capture,
that's a
holy
good one.
smokes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
good
Well, I know
times.
you brought more because,
Oh
gosh.
yes.
Where to next? This is I feel like I'm on a tour with you.
Wherever you want, whatever comes up, let's talk about it.
All right, let's see what we have
Let's
next.
Oh,
Ooh.
okay. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So this is a very interesting spot. This is the Casa Navarro, which it's the only intact homestead in San Antonio. This homestead was built when this was still Mexico.
Okay.
Jose Navarro was one of two statesmen to actually sign the Texas Declaration of Independence. He ended up moving to this homestead after his brother, who had built it, was murdered.
Wow.
So he moved into the homestead and lived there all the way up until his death in 1871. Um, but it is now a museum today, and it consists of three structures: the main house, a separate kitchen building, and a two-story structure that was the Navarro General Store back in the day.
Okay.
The windows that we're looking at right here, it's all the same window, and it's of the kitchen structure. And usually on my tour, my back is facing that window, so everyone's facing me, and they're all looking directly at that window. Um, and many times I can see their eyes drifting from me looking at the window because they keep seeing stuff move in the window. And then after I, give them the history and whatnot, I will have the group move to the side and tell them, if you want to take a picture, go up individually, because you don't want to take a photo with a big group next to you. You may get all these different reflections. And I said,
Right.
that's the only way I know to control, because
Yes.
you'll recognize your reflection if you see you in your photo, but
Yes.
may not remember who's on the tour with you when you look at your photo.
That's right.
The first photo is very interesting to me because when the person took it, they showed it to me, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" But if you look at the photo, look at the upper right hand window pane, drop down one window pane.
There's a woman standing there.
There's a woman, and if you look closer, it looks like she's wearing like a prayer veil or a mantilla, is what they'll call it.
Yeah.
Um, but also, what's very very interesting is it never occurred to me until somebody else on the tour, when I was showing it one night, pointed it out. If you look next to her, there's something else next to her. And if you look about halfway down in the middle of the frame, you kind of only see what looks like maybe legs.
Yeah.
if you kind of look back at the overall picture, it almost looks like she's standing next to a horse
Or some kind of animal. Like I
or
was trying to figure
animal,
that out, but now
right?
see, because I can see an ear for
Right.
sure that
Could be a
looks
cow.
like a horse ear.
Yeah, could be a cow, could be a horse. I don't know. But that was the kitchen. So I don't know if, I just, it was weird.
It does
Um,
feel like when I look at the leg, I feel like
right.
it probably would have been a horse or a mule,
Right. Could
maybe.
have been mule.
But you
And,
definitely, it's so funny when you look at images that people, evidence and people take
mhm,
pictures and you go, okay, I'm looking for it. And then when you see it, it's that, oh,
yeah.
looking right back at you.
Yeah. Now
That's a great
that's a
capture.
fun one, right? Now,
Yeah,
when I first saw that, I immediately picked up my phone and just tried to Google what Mrs. Navarro looked like. I did
right.
find a painting of her, but many years later in her life, and I could see a resemblance. But yeah, every time I talk about this photo, I think, dang it, because I always remind myself, go home and do more research to see if I can find
Oh, right.
her depiction of Mrs. Navarro to see if this would match. And then I always forget until I'm talking about it again. So I need to do
Yeah, we got to figure out what now,
yeah,
who's in this middle photo?
the middle photo. This one got me pretty good. So when you look at it, it's pretty clear. Like there's
Yeah.
skin tone. Like I see flesh tone there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What was interesting is when a gentleman walks over to me and shows me the picture, and my initial response is, "Oh, this is a reflection." And then I started looking at the folks on my tour and realized no one
Looks like that.
matches that reflection. And then I looked closer, and it seems to me that looks like a man wearing a priest collar.
Oh,
So
wow.
if you look really close, you'll see,
Like a white at
yeah,
the
like a white
neck.
collar. And also, I don't think he has legs in this reflection.
I'm not seeing legs, but at first I thought it was a woman in a black dress, but now that you say that and I look at the collar, I see the white collar, but then I also see the dark and then there's a white where the legs would be.
Yeah,
Like fabric though. So it's like a long
like a
like
vestment kind of situation.
yeah.
I don't
So
know.
yeah, that's what I
Interesting.
see. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it
So
may
that,
be also I'm just looking at the windows to see because our house is from 1940, so some of the windows are the original, so they have
oh, the
that little bit of a
wavy.
wavy,
Yes.
which
Yes.
it looks like this does have. I don't know if those are the original windows, but it does look a little like the
Wavy.
reflection. Yeah,
Mhm.
there's a bit of waviness to it, which can
Now,
also distort it a little.
oh, for sure. Now, I have not, because where this is located, um, it's fenced, the building's fenced in, and it's after hours, so I don't take people into the courtyard. So we're standing about 20 feet away
Wow.
when these photos are taken, at
Right.
least 20 feet away.
Right.
And so I have not. Now I've looked at some of the other windows that are closer that we can see, and those look to be replaced. But I cannot tell you for sure if this window has any of the original window panes.
Right.
That's a good question. I didn't think about that, because there's another place that we go to that definitely has some original panes that have that
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah,
blown
I would,
glass kind of
more so I was just thinking of it in terms of the way the image kind of it almost
appears.
looks a little like off, like it
Yeah,
looks,
right.
um but you definitely see skin tone, you see
Yeah.
eyes, you see hair, you see all of it.
Which I find to be, seeing skin tone is less common for me in my experience. I usually don't see it with a skin tone.
Right.
Um, in pictures at least.
And it's so hard to know, like, is this a residual energy that's just going
Yes.
about its day, going about
Yeah.
its business? It's like you can't come in,
Right. Or he's like, "What are y'all doing?"
Exactly. What's all this noise outside my
Right.
window?
Uh,
That's an interesting one.
yeah. Yeah.
Wow. This wasn't on the same tour, was it? As
No,
the
no,
woman? Oh, I was like, boy, there was a lot going on that day.
no. But it has happened though. Like I have a lot of photos that were taken at the same time,
Right.
where different people caught the
Multiple
same image.
things.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm just looking at the next one, focusing
Now
on the next.
you see the next one, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
what's trippy too about the first one and now this one is that it appears that it's looking right at you all.
Mm-hmm.
Like the other one just seems like it's going about its day, but this one's
Right.
like, hey, like, what are you doing?
Yeah. It seems I think this is one because I can't. It's hard to tell in the screen here, but isn't this one? It looks like she's maybe holding her arms, crossing her arms, looking at
Yeah,
us. Yeah.
she's full on crossing her arms. Like she's like, come on. Like, what are you doing?
She's like, y'all need to be doing something better than talking about dead folks.
Do you know what time it is?
Right. We are sleeping.
She's definitely crying. She is not happy.
Right. So I thought it was fun. There was one night where I had a bachelorette party on the tour, which, God bless them. Those are hard tours because usually bachelorettes have been drinking. And it's usually the girls that are always the messy ones, and the bride to be is the one that's kind of holding them all together. Well, on this night, it was totally opposite. We had a bachelorette who had a little too much. And by the time we got to this location, she was sitting, there's a 2-story structure that we're standing next to. She was sitting, in the doorway of that. And after we finished here, we started walking away, and I was like, "Come on, we got to get back on the bus." And she said, "Who's inside the building?" I was like, "What do you mean?" She was like, "There's somebody who's inside the building. They're talking." And I was like, "No." I said, "This is city-owned museum. I guarantee you, city workers are not out here at 11:30 at night talking in an old museum with the lights out."
Right.
She was like, "Well, the whole time you've been talking, I've listened to a woman and a man talking back and forth inside the just behind the door." I'm like, "Ooh, that's nice."
Ooh.
She thought it was real people, though.
That's interesting. What's also interesting is you talking about people that come and have had a couple of drinks, because I know, like, we typically we've done a couple of live events with Make and Beyond in October. And certainly with the last one, because it was a whole evening inside a location here called Burke Mansion, we very much limited the alcohol consumption just because, again, Morgan, had said it can be dangerous because we're looking to communicate. We're opening ourselves up. Our intention is to communicate, and it could make you vulnerable in that situation if you've had too much to drink. So now when you're doing a tour and you're walking, around and you're busing from different locations, you don't have as much control as when you're inviting people into a location. But have you had problems with that or concerns about that when you've taken tours out and they're a little tipsy?
Yes. On one occasion, I've actually had to tell them to leave.
Wow.
I've had to stand there and call an Uber for them and have them picked up because they were too rowdy and getting dangerous.
Right.
And I agree. I think when you drink, it lowers your inhibition to begin with. And when you're putting yourself in a situation where you're possibly connecting to other energies from a completely different realm, that can put you at danger. So drinking
absolutely.
and should not be going hand in hand.
Yeah, that's not. And I get that people get nervous and and also people think, well, it's entertainment and we're just here to hear stories. But, you are there to connect with what may be there and wants to connect. And you, again, because you're putting that intention out, it can also attract other things that you don't necessarily want to connect with, but are aware that you're walking through with a group. Yeah.
Yes.
And you don't know,
I definitely feel.
No, I was going to
No, go
say,
ahead.
you as the tour guide, it's like you don't know what everybody else's energy, the energy they're bringing into the group and what their intentions are.
Yeah.
Right. And that's something that you as the tour guide have to navigate through, especially because you are getting information sometimes from spirits that may be there.
Yes.
So you're having to navigate through that energy, the energy of the group, right? And it's a lot. I know when we've done the 2 times we've done live events, Morgan says it's, it can be really exhausting just going through the group's energy and then trying to sift through that to get to the spiritual energy that may be there. And so it's a lot of work that needs to be done. So you're walking into that just completely unaware of what spiritually and just energetically what you're going to be working with for that tour.
Yes. It's always a surprise. But I also feel when you, regardless of what substances you're taking, whether it be alcohol or drugs or whatever, and you start to dabble into the paranormal, what I don't think a lot of people realize is there are people who have crossed over who had those issues with those substances. And when you exhibit that type of energy with those substances in you, that attracts that type of energy of people who dealt with those kind of things in their lifetime. Like if, let's say, alcoholics can attract alcoholic ghosts. I mean, I know that
Right.
sounds weird, but people who were alcoholics in their lifetime. And a lot of times it can be a little bit more dangerous because then you have a spirit who wants to get that feeling of what it's that drinking feeling, and they're going to want to try to attach to you.
Oh, you're right. I didn't think of that. Yeah,
Yeah.
to kind of relive that
Yes.
high or that feeling. Right.
Yes. So, and then of course your inhibitions are low because you've been drinking or whatever you've been consuming, and you may not even be aware it's happening. All of a sudden you start getting these weird thoughts that you've never had before, or feelings that you normally don't have. It's drugs and alcohol and spirits don't make a good mixture.
That's not a good cocktail. It's just not a good cocktail, folks.
Right.
Keep them separate.
Yeah, definitely separate your recreation from the spirit
That's
world.
right. And I think that a lot of times people do it maybe because they get nervous or
Sure.
they don't take it seriously, and they're out to have a good time. But
Yeah.
I know that when we've done events, we're very mindful of that, just because we don't want anybody to take anything else home except a really fun evening.
Yes. And it's not to say you can't have a cocktail before a tour. That's totally fine.
Right.
But, within reason.
But yeah. And that's what we say. We're like, have a drink or have a couple drinks with dinner or whatever you're going to do, but like
Right.
not, yeah.
Yeah.
It adds a whole other
Right.
layer of unexpectedness and yeah, it can be dangerous depending
Yes.
on where you're going and what you're encountering.
Absolutely.
Okay, we have a little bit more. I'm going to jump into
Oh, yes, my favorite.
oh, my goodness. I mean, first of all, this is a stunning property. I mean,
it's gorgeous.
It looks like it's from another world, like another time. I mean, it's so beautifully preserved and gorgeous. And looking at the image right below the exterior of it, it's undoubtedly an apparition.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The funny thing with this particular photo is our first stop on our bus tour, so our tour company is inside this hotel. This is the Minger Hotel, which stands next door to the Alamo.
Oh, wow.
So it's on land that the Battle of the Alamo occurred on already. In fact, Alamo, the Texas defenders of the Alamo, their bodies were placed in 3 piles and incinerated where this hotel now stands.
Wow.
So right there, you're already working on ground that's very energetically active.
Yeah.
You're about 600 yards from the San Antonio River, which is the original river route. And so people have lived at this spot for hundreds and hundreds of years. And this has been a prime spot where people would battle over for hundreds of years.
Right.
So you already have a lot of energy with the land to begin with. Then now you have this building that was built in 1859 as a little luxury hotel. It was one of the first luxury hotels in San Antonio, and it's beautiful. This is my staycay for San Antonio. This is where I actually will get away for a week.
I love it. That's your new Queen Mary.
It really is. It really is. And I don't have to worry about a propeller room.
That's right.
But there is a basement to this.
I was just going to say, is there a basement?
I've only been there once. I'm like, yep, nope, don't need it. But like the history of this building is very interesting. Like barbed wire was introduced in front of this building. Like barbed wire.
What?
It was
Wow.
demonstrated for its first time to ranchers and to place your order for barbed wire, you were instructed to go inside the Mingo Hotel and place your order.
And get your barbed wire in.
Yeah, it
Wow,
was,
that's
and
trippy.
onlookers, from what I understand, were in awe because what they did was, this is in Alamo Plaza, so they herded in a bunch of cattle and they put the barbed wire around them, and onlookers were in awe. All these ranchers were like, I can't believe those cattle aren't moving, because the
Because
cattle are
they
like,
know the
oh,
deal. They're like, I
yeah,
don't want to get near that barbed
yeah.
wire.
So this is where you actually placed your order for barbed wire, which I thought was really cool. But lots of famous folks here. Ulysses S. Grant, Robert E. Lee, let's see, Dell Evans and Roy Rogers stayed here with
Oh, there you
Tracy.
go. There you go.
Yeah, Teddy Roosevelt recruited his Rough Riders here in
Get
1898.
out. Wow.
Yeah. Some of my favorite, though, like Sarah Bernhardt, stayed here when she was doing her final farewell to America tour, touring in playing Camille, in the stage version of Camille.
Wow.
Yeah, Golly Kersey, Isadora Duncan, like the list really goes on and on.
Oh, for sure. In a place like that, come on. Yeah,
it's pretty
it's
amazing.
endless. Yeah, for sure.
But I love it now. So the photo that you asked about, the one right below the exterior shot, and the photo next to that is the original photo. The one next to it is the blown up version, obviously.
Okay. Oh, I see. Yep.
So during the tour, before, this is our first stop, so we leave the shop and go into the old lobby, which is what this is. And we go through the history. We talk about some of the paranormal events that have happened. And before we go to the bus, everyone takes a quick bathroom break. And as a guide, we instruct people, please do not wander off. Stay with us because we're about to leave. We don't want to leave you behind. And please don't go upstairs. You know, if you want to tour the hotel, wait till after the tour, because I, as a tour guide, get in trouble if I allow my tour just to start
wandering around.
around. But the hotel doesn't mind if you do it on your own. So wait. Well, this young lady decided to go upstairs on this break and took a picture. Now, typically, I'd been like, bad lady.
Yeah.
But
except when she's coming back with images like this, Lee.
I was like, ooh, that's a good one. So this is actually the third floor. And the windows that you see right behind this apparition are not exterior windows. Those are actually windows into the Sam Houston conference room, where Sam Houston used to meet with some of his officials.
Okay.
So who this is, not quite sure. But it's a good capture.
It's an incredible capture.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to decide, like, it, you know, from behind it, it's like there's something.
Yes.
Right. I don't know if it's other people or if it was in motion. And so it kind of, but it almost looks like there could be other people standing behind this person that aren't quite as defined.
Now, when I'm doing the tour, I'm standing on the bottom floor in the middle, so you could look straight up the rotunda to see the ceiling.
Yeah.
And I've had many times people on my tour ask me who's up on the third floor, because they keep seeing somebody looking.
Oh, really?
And that's where this individual or this apparition is on the third floor.
It's like my Queen Mary moment. They know we're here.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it was like, because there was a second balcony and somebody looked over.
Looked
They
down
like to do that. Like, what are you doing down there?
Yeah. Now, the picture that's right next to it, the larger shot of that you see more of the balcony. If you look to the bottom left of the screen, behind that lampshade, you see a doorway. That doorway leads to what is known as the King Ranch Suite.
Okay.
King Ranch, very interesting. So Captain Richard King owns the King Ranch Suite, or owned it, right? Largest ranch in the world at this time, like over 1 million acres. But this is where he would stay when he was in San Antonio on business. And he basically purchased a portion of this building, had his own private suite constructed.
Wow.
So that doorway leads to his suite. Now, what's interesting is, unfortunately, I don't have a photo of it, but many guests at the hotel report walking through this old lobby and seeing a man standing on that balcony, the second story balcony, holding a large basin. And then they see him throw the basin over the balcony and it smashes on the floor. And of course, they rush to the front desk to say, hey, some dude's chunking stuff off your balcony in there.
Right.
They go to investigate it. There's nothing on the floor. There's no man there. But in our research, we found that when Richard King would be living there, he apparently was a very impatient man.
Yeah.
And when he would request his dirty chamber pot to get switched out with a clean one, if it didn't happen quick enough for his liking, he
Oh,
would
God.
walk out to the balcony and toss the dirty one over.
No way.
Isn't that gross? I mean, at
That's
least,
disgusting. And he's still
right.
doing it.
Yeah. Well, at least now it's just ghost poop. So
That's right.
you don't have to clean it up now.
That's right.
But how horrible.
Oh my gosh. What a wonderful man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But
Now,
wow, well, this is fascinating. It's incredible. How many tours do you think that you've given since you've been back there?
gosh, I've been doing tours. I'm going on my 6th year.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
So
how often do you give them?
right now let's see, because I'm only doing like weekends right now. I
Yeah.
was seven days a week though.
Wow.
So, and there were times I was doing sometimes 2, sometimes 3 tours a night. So, which is
Wow, that's a lot of energy. And it's, it's a lot to remember. And it is a performance, right?
yes,
So
it is. It is.
yeah, you're putting on a show and then you're also navigating through the energy that may be in those spaces, the energy of the group.
Yeah.
You're trying to herd the kittens and make sure they don't wander off.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh
it's
yes, that's the hardest part is just hurting the people because people like I get it. You get curious and you start wandering and it's like, oh no, you stay together, stay together. I've only lost one person on my tour.
oh my
But that
gosh.
was because they were like didn't listen. I was like, okay. So, but they knew
Yikes.
they knew it was their fault, not my fault. So thankfully,
Right.
I didn't get into trouble.
Well, that's good. That's good. Well, I find that all very interesting, and just sort of thinking back to our conversation about how you started out even as a child having experiences, and then that's sort of changed over time, and you've been a part of groups and investigated, and paranormal is like a thread that has been kind of through your life in different ways,
Yes.
and always present in many different ways, which is really interesting.
Yeah, it keeps my life exciting.
It does. It does. I know. And we'll wrap it up soon. But I was just remembering, and I think I brought this up earlier, that you also have owned some haunted objects in your lifetime as well. And I remember seeing a few of those.
Oh yes, yes. I'm trying to think which ones they were.
Well, there was
I
that
say
marionette.
I lost everything in the fire.
Oh, yes. Oh, that's another thing that I wanted to talk about too. And that was an unfortunate tragedy. And I know that you did have some loss with the fire, but there also were some possibly otherworldly experiences that happened just before and during that may have been there to alert you, or certainly in the case of your mother-in-law, perhaps guide her in the right direction. If you are comfortable sharing that, I think that's really, because the reason why I love you to share it is that people often associate spirit activity or ghostly activity as negative or frightening. And one of the things I always want to emphasize is that it's not always that. Sometimes they're just there coexisting with you. Sometimes, in your case, they may be trying to tell you something or alert you or guide you in a different direction, right, to help you. And I think that your story in regards to your house fire, is such a great example of that.
Yes, yes.
So prior to the fire, you had an experience and were you having experiences in this home prior to this? Okay.
Yes. I mean, there'd be like one moment I remember, laying in bed because, I think we all do it now since we have the technology in our hands. We'll get in bed and we'll look at our phone.
Yeah.
For the longest time, I would see somebody walking across the foot of the bed, and then I'd realize my partner's in bed with me, and there's no one walking around the room. And the room was very large at the time. For the longest time I would see that, and it just became kind of like, oh yeah, saw the guy walking by the bed last night again,
Right.
and kiki about it. And nothing ever frightening. My mother-in-law, who lives with us, she would ask me about the children. Where'd the children go? I'm like, I don't know. But I did have a dream one night shortly after she had said that. And I don't know if that's why I had the dream, but of there being 2 children in the house and me trying to talk
Really?
and knowing that in my dream that they were spirits. So I don't know if that had something to do or if that was really something I was really experiencing. It felt very real.
Right.
More real than most of my like regular dreams do. So I don't know if that was connected, but I think the strongest thing the week before the fire I'd mentioned earlier when we were talking, I got up, it was maybe 3 or 4 in the morning to go to the restroom and somebody pushed me from behind, not hard, just kind of like nudging me to kind of let me know that they were there.
Right.
And I thought it was my partner. So I remember turning around going, ha ha, very funny, thinking that was really weird that you're up too to go to the bathroom at the same time. But when I turned back around, he's still in bed and it was just me. And I was like, oh, okay.
Right.
But I think that the thing that really sticks out most for me is the house was 100 years old, a little over 100 years old. It was wooden.
Uh-huh.
It was shingled roof, which it was grandfathered in because you're not allowed to shingle roofs like that any longer here, at least in Texas or in San Antonio. So it was an old house. And when it caught fire within the walls and everything burned very, very intensely. So everything completely incinerated inside. But so the fire, when the fire started, you didn't see the flames. It was just smoke.
Oh, wow.
Right. So
So that's confusing because you can't figure out where it's coming from.
Yeah. And my mother-in-law who lives with us, unfortunately has dementia, and she at this point in her life, she just didn't know where anything was anymore. You would have to escort her or tell her where to go. You know, your bedroom's through here. Well, the night of the fire, she had gone to bed. My partner was already upstairs on his phone. And we're talking, it was like 9 o'clock at night. It wasn't late. I was training a new tour guide at the time. But basically what happened was when my husband noticed the smoke, he went to the stairwell and it was just black billowy clouds coming up the stairwell.
Wow.
But he could hear his mom screaming his name. So he made his way downstairs and walked into the main living room and bumped into her. He couldn't see her because the smoke was so thick at this point, but he grabbed her and pulled her outside. The next day, we were in the hotel that the Red Cross put us in. And I remember, I don't know why I even asked this, but I asked my mother-in-law, how did you find your way out of your bedroom? Because honestly, it was like a maze to get to where her room was. And she very matter-of-factly stated, oh, my parents woke me up and told me that I needed to get up and go with them. I was like, oh, great. I'm so glad they did. Yeah, I'm
right.
glad they did.
Well, thank you. Thanks for that assist.
So,
well, yeah, and you think about if that hadn't happened because of just how thick the smoke was,
right.
and in the confusion even for you, right? Yeah. That she may not have found her way.
Yeah.
You know, they directed her right in the path of your husband Todd,
yes,
right? Yeah. And her son, right?
Yeah.
That there might have been more tragedy that night, you know?
Yes.
So that's incredible.
There would have been more tragedy for sure had that not happened. Because there's no way, I mean, I cannot figure out other than some intervention from the other side to get her out of the room, through a dining room and through another doorway into the living room. Because I mean, if you'd seen the house on the interior, you would understand it was not just simply like room, like little doorways. It was, you really had to maneuver around furnishings and walls and going through small corridor and
right.
Yeah. So I just remember thinking, oh, so grateful.
So grateful. Absolutely. So that's it, folks. Sometimes, right, we may feel uneasy knowing something is there, but sometimes it might be there to lead you in the right way when tragedy strikes.
Absolutely.
It's not always a negative, scary thing.
Or like they say here in South Texas, it's not always el cucuy.
That's true.
Cucuy. Yes.
That's true. Not always. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Lee, this has been such an incredible chat. We've just this is just the tip of the iceberg, right?
Yes.
If somebody's interested in taking a tour with you who happens to be in San Antonio or is visiting San Antonio, what is the best way for them to do that?
they can actually just contact Sisters Grimm Ghost Tours.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
We are housed at
Cool.
the Ingrid Hotel, and we do walking tours. We do bus tours.
And
So
can they specifically ask for you, a specific tour
absolutely.
guide? Oh, fabulous. Well, ask for Lee.
Yeah, that's
I'll
great.
definitely put their information in all the show notes and
thank
when I post this so that you know how to reach Lee and take a tour. I want to come and take a tour with you.
Please do. Oh, that would be so much fun.
They would
That
be
would
so fun. And
We
I know
would-
exactly where I want to stay now.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Come down for a week. I'll do a staycay there. We'll have fun. Oh, and by the way, their pool there, just a fun note, is modeled after the Beverly Hills Hotel pool.
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah,
Oh,
so it's
that's
kinda like
fabulous.
a little bit of LA.
A little LA in
Downtown
South
Houston
Texas.
area.
So cool. Well, Lee,
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining me and sharing all the
my
photos
pleasure.
and all of the stories. And I'm sure we'll be talking to you again soon.
Hope so. Thank you.
Thank you. There's something I've always appreciated about Lee. He doesn't approach the paranormal with arrogance. He approaches it with curiosity and humanity. For some people, the unexplained becomes a performance, but with Lee, it feels woven into the fabric of his life. Sometimes funny, sometimes unsettling, sometimes deeply emotional. And maybe that's what makes stories like these stay with us. Not just the apparitions or the evidence captured in photographs, but the deeply personal moments, the feeling that maybe, somehow, we are not as alone as we think we are. Whether it's a warning before a tragedy or a shared experience during a ghost tour, tonight's stories remind us how thin the line can sometimes feel between the ordinary and the unexplained. Whether you believe every story shared tonight or remain skeptical, I think there's value in sitting with the mystery, in allowing ourselves to admit that there may still be things in this world we don't fully understand. And occasionally, those things may even reach back toward us. Thank you to Lee Marshall for joining me and sharing his experiences, his history, and some truly incredible stories and evidence from San Antonio. If you enjoyed this episode of Echoes of the South, be sure to follow, subscribe, and share it with someone who loves stories that live in the space between history and the unexplained. And if you've experienced something strange, uncanny, or impossible to explain, you can submit your story at echoesofthesouth.com. Until next time, listen closely. Some echoes never fade. Stay close. On the next episode of Echoes of the South, a woman trapped in time.
Because right away I see a woman giving birth in the bed, right away. And it's not going well, it's pretty violent.
An unexpected purpose.
If this is the reason we're in this house for her and her pregnancy, this is really important.
A room unlike any other in the house.
It's like a transit station. There's like
Little pockets of
people coming and going.
And evidence we didn't discover until later. An Arkwell Productions original series. Host and creator, Carrie Genzel. Special guest, Lee Marshall. Original music, Sequential Sound. Photographs courtesy of Lee Marshall. Used with permission. Share your story or request an investigation at echoesofthesouth.com. Copyright 2026 Arkwell Productions, LLC.